Hey guys, it's Core Ross and welcome to 60 News. So today we're going to break down the Tournament of Champions cinematic for Rainbow Six Siege. This was released of course at the weekend alongside the Year 5 reveal and I loved it. I thought it was amazing. The quality of it, the emotion, the characters, the depth was just absolutely incredible. So we're going to break it down scene by scene and just have a really good look at it and enjoy it. Now before we jump into breaking it down, let's talk about the stuff that's actually missing from this CGI. There was a teaser trailer that Ubisoft released for this, and it's got stuff that we didn't actually see. So for instance, we didn't get to see the operators in their custom uniforms. This is this is them walking out with their custom uniforms on. I would have loved to have seen this for all the operators because they look insanely cool in these outfits. But also, Thermite, he was in the teaser trailer but didn't actually show up. So he had a scene, it looks like, with Dokkaebi, and he also had a scene where he was blowing up something as well, part of the stadium map. So presumably maybe there was a scene with him too at some point. There was also a scene with Thatcher running through smoke in an empty stadium. That didn't seem to lead to anything either, which is interesting. And we had a fight between, and I think it's a training fight between Blitz and Sledge, but also a fight between Pulse and Cav. I would have loved to have seen those fights in full, and I hope maybe in the future we will. We also seen Hibana on some sort of shooting range or training area, and we seen Mira doing R&D where she was working on Blitz's shield. We also seen the defenders getting ready before they actually went out to their stadium game, so this is them kind of prepping for it. Then there seems to be an argument between Doc and Cav before the game starts. There's no silver stuff on them, so they don't seem to have taken any damage in an actual game. So they seem to be having some sort of argument before the game starts. And then, of course, Harry didn't make an appearance. He was there in audio, but not visually. So I'm kind of curious if some of this stuff will show up in another cinematic in the future, if there's more to come, perhaps. But let's get on with the breakdown. So we start with the Siege Universe Presents, as of course they really are trying to build out an entire Rainbow Six Siege universe. And that's going to be, of course, spin-off games and all kinds of stuff. So we start with this kind of after-game interview where the attackers, of course, have won. And I love the details in this, just the simple stuff. So, of course, both of these guys got blown up by a nitro cell from Pulse. So they're covered in this silver stuff that they use as the kind of indicator that they've been hit. So I love that Blitz is just absolutely covered. So of course he was right next to it. He took the entire brunt of the explosion and he's just covered in this stuff. And we've got Dokkaebi next to him. I love the details, the fact that she's attaching a microphone. Of course Harry's interviewing them here. We don't actually see Harry in this whole cinematic, but he's interviewing them. It's for internal use only, talking about this event. Of course this is the first finals they've had for this event, so he's getting the kind of feedback from the attackers and the defenders. Now this is a relatively short cinematic, but it conveys so much personality, and it's down to just the simple stuff. So the way Blitz is sitting, the way Dokkaebi's sitting, the whole attitude of each operator is very different and has an amazing amount of depth, considering they don't really have that much to say in the whole thing. And the character design just for the operators in general, they look so real and they look so damn good. But then we move on to Doc and Mozzie, looking so different from each other. A lot of people have said that Mozzie looks way older than they would expect him to. I think he looks a lot younger in his character model for the game than he does in the CGI, but that's probably just because we have a lot less like polygons to work with when it comes to the game. Of course, Mozzie is 35, so this is a reasonable look for him, but Doc, he's 39. He's aging incredibly well. He looks great for his age. Now, of course, if you go and check the backstories, Mozzie does lead, I would say, quite a hard life. And of course, he lives in like deserts and stuff. So he is going to age a little bit quicker than others as well, probably just from his lifestyle. And I love the fact he just says, "G'day." That's it. He doesn't say anything else. He just says that. And that's so good. Really, really good. And then we've got Mira. Now, for this CGI, they turned up the, I don't know, there must just be a cuteness level on the software they're using, because my god, they put it up to maximum for all the girls in this, and they come across as incredibly cute and very lovable characters. Really, really impressive. I love the fact she's like, where do I look? You know, do I look at the camera? Do I look at you? I think it's absolutely brilliant. Nice and simple and quick scene, but very, very well done. Then we move over to Thatcher and Sledge, who totally look like their heads have been shrunk down. I think their bodies look way too big for their heads in this scene, but also they are, of course, well-built men, so maybe it's not entirely out of there. And I love the fact that, Thatcher very calmly introduces himself as being in the SAS, and then Sledge says sanitation, as if he works in the toilets or if he's a janitor or something like that. So love that, really nice. And on both characters, we get to see where Pulse shot them. So of course, Sledge gets shot in the gut quite a lot by Pulse, and we didn't see Thatcher getting taken down by Pulse, but we can see he's actually taking a hit kind of in the chest there. So presumably that's where Pulse shot the kill shot at him. So very nice attention to detail. And then we switch over to Sad Cav. My god, I never thought I would ever see Cav with this much depth and character. And she was already one of my most, favorite characters, but they've just gone and completely maxed it out now, where I have a sense of who this character is, which is amazing. Like I went from a two-dimensional character to a completely three-dimensional one with so much depth that I'm still gobsmacked by how much emotion I get from this one character. But then we switch over to cuteness overload, that is Dokkaebi. And of course we've seen her in the cinematic last year, and she was not nearly as cute. She was cute, but man, they've managed to refine her character to someone that's really believable and just has this cute level that is off the scale, but still totally is fine with shooting Cav in the head later on. So she might well be cute, but she's totally still got that badass element as well. So they've done, I think, a good job with the characters all round here. And the amount of emotion they've managed to convey in the eyes of all these characters, but especially Dokkaebi, is, like, for CGI, I feel like they've done something that I've not really seen before, even from good movies. Now, let's move away from the characters and have a little look at the stadium. So this is pretty cool. Apparently, lots of people have come to watch this. I don't know if it would be the best spectator sport because most of it's going to happen inside the map. So then there doesn't seem to be many big screens or anything to watch what's going on inside. But it is the map we've been playing, so it's a stadium map. There's one addition, which is that yellow staircase. It's not quite like that in the actual map we had on Stadium, but the rest of it looks to be exactly the same layout. Of course, when we actually see them inside, it's totally different. But from this outside perspective, it is actually the same map. And of course, this is located in Greece. So they have a whole Rainbow Six facility. It's not just a stadium. It's a stadium. It's training grounds, shooting ranges, infirmaries. They've got everything, making up a very large facility. I wonder if one day we'll be able to see a lot more of it. Actually, at this point, I'm pretty sure we will with the way the development of Siege is going. The other thing is, of course, it's located in Greece, but we don't have a Greece operator. So really sad actually not to see at least one Greece operator for year 5. But we do have that one that's classified, and of course we have year 6 where maybe we'll get a Greece operator then. But I am surprised they went to Greece, they had this whole event in Greece, but didn't pick up an operator while they were there. Now we get to see the match actually starting. So we got both teams outside, kind of huddled up, doing some discussions, probably talking tactics. Then they move into the map. We can see that staircase that isn't present on the map we have in Stadium, but certainly is there in this. Probably more for cinematic because it gives them a good position up later where they can be victorious. It also has a nice nitro cell bit as well. So we got Hibana and Thatcher about to repel on either corner of this wall. We've got this bit. This is where the map starts to change because of course we don't have this external wall. We don't have that ladder up there. This doesn't exist at all in the actual map. But then we enter, and again the map is totally different inside. We've got this long kind of area, very big room, all this different concrete around it for the attackers and defenders to use as cover. So we see Blitz, Dokkaebi and Sledge entering down there through the wall. Then we have Hibana and Thatcher doing quick enters, and this is where we get to see the wooden barricades that are actually used on this. They're quite different to what we have in game. They're very thin pieces of wood. The yellow paint is very thin, but it's still pretty much a normal wooden barricade. It is attached though to the outside of the window rather than the inside. Then we see them absolutely blasting in. We didn't see them put down a breaching charge or anything, but it looks like they did use some sort of explosive because man, they come in and those barricades absolutely disintegrate. And it's very, very cinematic, very nicely done. Then we switch back downstairs. We've got our operators trying to push into towards the defenders, trying to push towards the objective. So Blitz is providing cover with Dokkaebi and Sledge behind. Now, of course, in game, this would not work. You'd be dead. You would die pretty damn quick in this situation. Then we find out the reason why the defenders lost, and it's because Doc forgot his ACOG. So he's actually not even got any sight on this gun. He does have a suppressor on, so he did actually bring in some attachments. And I would totally put that visor down because, damn, their non-lethal rounds still look like they would take an eye out, no problem. And then again, we get to see Dokkaebi and Sledge stacked up on Blitz. Again, this would not work in the game. They would totally get killed. But for cinematic reasons, it does look really nice. Then we get to see Mozzie in action for the first time, and it looks really, really good. His commando does look like a nice weapon, I gotta say, so comes off very, very nice. But Sledge manages to get off a beautiful shot, also while looking absolutely amazing. Gorgeous himself in this beautiful shot where we get to see him shooting off a couple of shotgun rounds, which he does manage to hit Mozzie, who is hiding behind his reinforced wall. And he also does manage to hit one of those dummies. Are those dummies like supposed to represent like innocent, hostages and stuff? Because he just totally tagged one in the head. So I don't know about that. Then Mozzie, of course, gets downed. This is interesting because Doc comes and grabs him and pulls him away. And I didn't realize at first, when I was first watching this, that they get snuck up on by Thatcher and Hibana, as it's a super short cut to Hibana throwing a flashbang out into the corridor where you actually see Doc resin Mozzie. Now, of course, he should have a stim pistol for this. He doesn't actually use that in this whole game, and it would have been a great idea to have used that rather than go for the manual res. But this means that Hibana and Thatcher are able to take out Mozzie and Doc very quickly. So now we move on and we're down to 3 versus 5. So the defenders are doing absolutely horrible at this point. We now switch down to Mira, who is defending some sort of garage, a really big open area indoors, which of course is nowhere on the map. Sledge gets bored with this fight and is like, screw this, throws a frag grenade, and it lands at Mira's feet. And again, I love the fact they were able to just capture so much emotion with these CGI faces. And I also love how she looks exactly like Mira. Like, obviously when she has the long hair out, it is kind of jarring sometimes between her character model in game and then of course the cinematic one where she has all this hair. So seeing her here with the hair in her helmet, it just looks just like Mira. It's absolutely amazing how much she actually looks like the in-game character. So well done, and I love the fact that she just looks like herself. And of course we get to see her back in her interview again, looking very charming. And of course she comes across as very genuine, and we know that she's the R&D director of Siege, so she's all about the technology. And of course she's a good operator as well. We get to see the crowd as well, of course. There's flags from every nation hidden in the audience, but quite a few are definitely Brazilian. So good to see the Brazilian fans have travelled out here to Greece to go and see this event. Then we move on to the Thatcher versus Cav fight, and this is pretty brutal. So what we have here is a 56-year-old man against a 27-year-old woman. And if I had to bet money on this fight in real life, I'd put it on the 27-year-old woman, because reaction times are going to be very important. So she comes right at him with a flying punch, knocks his mask clean off. She seems to be very good with the kicks, like absolutely amazing. She then also kicks away his weapon, so completely disarms him with his pistol. Then she just goes at him. And yeah, she's definitely got that kickboxer vibe. And although Thatcher is able to block many of her attacks with her hands, she is able to just smash him once right in the chin. Then she dodges every single attack that Thatcher sends her way. And this is, believable, because a 56-year-old man, reaction times are not anywhere near that of a 27-year-old. And I can tell you that just from when I used to play games back in the day when I was a teenager to gaming now, I noticed the difference in reaction times just myself. So she is able to dodge every single attack that she is getting thrown at her by Thatcher, and then she literally climbs on him and just starts to choke him out with her legs. And this is a really good fight scene. Absolutely love it. And Cav is winning big time right now. But then there's the moment of realization, and this is one of those parts of it that is just astonishing. Like, this looks like a real person's face and it's CGI. And I know they're doing it with, mocap and all that. They got a lot of data to go on, but still, just the pure emotion that comes across in this freeze frame is astonishing to me. Then we see her take a round in the head. So Dokubi, presumably, she's friends with Cav outside of this, just taps her one right in the head. We see blood later on, so it does break the skin. And she's got no eye protection on. This has to hurt. So yeah, she takes it right in the head, and Dokubi saves Thatcher. So now we have a very imbalanced game. The defenders are getting their asses kicked. It's only Pulse against 5 of them. We see Cav actually leaving the map now. So this is what happens when you get taken out. You actually leave the map only once you are safe to. So, the attackers have moved away. You then get up and leave the map. And what you're supposed to do here is get on cams and help your fellow defenders. They're not doing that. So I assume maybe all the cameras have been destroyed at this point, so they can't help. But we will actually see a camera later. But yeah, we have our defenders sitting outside. Again, just want to keep bringing up the points of how the emotion in this is brought through the character's face, especially with Cav. Like, there's so many scenes, and especially right here, this one is just so good. And then we switch to the perspective of the interview afterwards, and the kind of little smirk she's got going on here, and you can see the blood coming out of her forehead, and her eyes red as well from that impact. It's, yeah, I keep coming back to it, but it is amazing. Anyway, we switch back to Pulse, who is the last chance for the defenders, and he starts off really good by taking out Blitz and Dokubi with a single nitro cell, and it's pretty effective. It's a nice cinematic scene, obviously dropping that nitro cell down the stairs, and then the explosion being seen from outside as 2 of the attackers are taken out of the game. And the defenders aren't actually that happy about it. You don't see them celebrating. I thought it'd be a bit more of a reaction from them, but they're quite calm about it all. But I guess they are trained operators, so maybe that's just the way they are. Then Thatcher gets taken out by Pulse off screen, so we don't get to see that kill, but presumably Pulse maybe uses heartbeat sensor to take him out. Then we get an external view of Hibana moving in. This is exactly the same layout as the real staircase in the map, so kind of cool to see that from the exterior as she moves in. As she gets into the objective room, we can actually see on the left hand side a pest. So this is Mozzie's pest here, his gadget sitting on the wall. Of course, we didn't actually see them use drones at all, but presumably they do have a drone phase. Presumably they do have drones that they could use at times, and that obviously did not yet catch a drone, so maybe no drone had gone through there. So Hibana moves in and she's going to start defusing the bomb, which has a defuse time of 30 seconds. But then we get Hibana and her lover, Pulse. So this has been confirmed. It was teased for kind of years basically, but it was confirmed recently that they're definitely in a relationship, and they definitely confirmed it even more with this cinematic. So we got this little scene here. Now this changes a little bit. There's a little bit of a continuity issue here, because if you watch both characters' position and the camera position, it remains exactly the same. They cut away and then they cut back. The camera is still in the same place, the characters are still in the same place, but the roof is now different. It's actually a different position, and there's a camera. So the cams are still up. Defenders should be on cams right now, helping Pulse out. Maybe they did though. I guess maybe they radioed in, let them know that the diffuser was going down. But then to the rescue comes Sledge, who manages to hit Pulse pretty damn well. This probably should be a kill shot, so I'm going to say this is now canonizing hit detection. And Pulse just goes on a rampage, try to take out Sledge. This is a brutal, brutal fight, and it gets really brutal with Pulse shooting him in the stomach multiple times, and then just to make sure, also shoot him in the head as well at point blank range. But Hibana is able to get up and actually manages to disarm Pulse and kick his ass, and then shoots him in the head. Although we don't see it, there is a little scene later where we see him with a red spot on the side of his head, so it looks like she actually shot him in the head. And considering he took that hit to the stomach, I would imagine that he probably didn't have much health left, in because the backstory of this is that they wear an underlying suit that lets them know when they've been critically hurt, so he would have lost health with that hit. So she probably only had to shoot him in the back or the chest or something to take him down. But anyway, we move on to the celebrations for the attackers. I love the emotion and the rawness of Blitz, absolutely ecstatic. The super cuteness of Dockerby. Then we got Sledge with his hammer up in the air. And of course, if you win the 6 Invitationals, you get to do that. You've got an actual hammer. So it's just like the 6 Invitationals in that way. And I think this is the reason they added this tower in, just for this scene. It is nice for the Nitro Cell one too, but also for this one, it gives them a nice high place in the center of the stadium to stand to do their little victories. And there we go. The attackers won this very first championship. So will the defenders win next year? That's my kind of interesting idea. Will the defenders come back and win this? From the little post interview we get, Cav seems to think she'll be back, and I hope she will be. But before the end, we get to see the defenders' reactions as well on the losing team. And again, the emotion that they managed to convey from these cinematic characters from just CGI is great. Mira just looks so sad. Then we go over to Cav, and oh my god, like, she's got the saddest of faces, and then she closes her eye, even sadder. This is just, and seeing Mira come for her is very nice as well. Again, look at that face on Cav. Constantly just, I'm amazed. Constantly amazed in this thing. Great. And this is probably the best part for me of the whole thing. Let me know what your favorite part. But it's this part where she gets up. She's obviously sad. She wanted to win. She didn't want to come second. And she gets up. She pulls herself together just for the, the fans, the crowd. She knows there's a lot of Brazilians out there supporting her. And she comes out to, be a good sport. Then we get to switch back to her interview, where she seems a little bit happier, and she's talking about coming back in the future and winning. I'll also point out that she's wearing her Skull and Bones earrings as well, which she does have in game too. And yeah, love it. Love this CGI. So well done. Really enjoyed breaking this down. I hope you enjoyed watching as well, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you next time.